She waited for a savior, never expecting a human with empty hands and an endless heart. On the storm-blasted plains of Thryland's third moon, a lone figure huddled beneath the shattered remains of a crystal spire. Her name was Sail, daughter of the Orcs the High Line, the last living scion of a once proud people who believed themselves above all other forms of life. The Orcs sang their psionic hymns into the stars, weaving melodies so complex that entire starships drifted off course, lost in their beauty. They considered themselves the chosen voice of the universe, untouched by hunger or pain, untainted by the crude realities of flesh and soil. They believed suffering was for lesser beings. But when the superstorms came, waves of plasma wind tearing across the moon's surface, storms hot enough to melt their crystal towers into glass dunes, all their songs failed them. Their psionic harmonies could not hold back the cosmic rage. Their proud fleets fell silent, drifting husks scattered among the moons. Their high priestesses and war singers fled in gleaming escape arcs, abandoning Sail as her crystalline sanctuary collapsed around her. She stayed because she believed someone would come. Someone grand, shining, powerful enough to calm the storms and rebuild her world with a single thought. She imagined a hero descending in shimmering armor, voice as bright as starlight. Days turned to weeks. Her food reserves dwindled. Her once gleaming wings, delicate filaments that pulsed with inner light, dulled to a muddy gray. Her songs, once strong enough to vibrate whole valleys into harmony, cracked and fell silent in her throat. One day she saw a shape trudging across the ashen plains, a small figure, wrapped in a battered survival cloak, dragging a simple metal sled. No radiant armor. No chorus of voices behind him. Just a human named Jonah Run, a low-ranking engineer from an aid freighter that had crashed during the last plasma wave. He carried no advanced medical kits, no psionic harmonizers, no supplies worth mentioning. Just a few ration packs, some water filters, and his own 2 hands. Sail stared at him in disbelief. You cannot be my savior," she croaked, voice raw with dust and sorrow. "You have nothing." Jonah looked up at her with eyes as blue as the Terran oceans she had once mocked in academy lectures. He gave a slow, tired smile. "Maybe. But you look like you could use someone anyway." Without ceremony, he knelt beside her, unpacked his last water filter, and started collecting the acrid dew dripping from the shattered spires. He spoke as he worked, his words simple, unadorned, stories of starship maintenance, of patching leaks in coolant lines, of the smell of engine oil and the laughter of friends. He had no melodies to share, no cosmic wisdom. Only warmth, only presence. Sail tried to resume her psionic singing, desperate to call to any real rescuer. But every time she faltered, Jonah offered a gentle word, a hand on her shoulder. In the stillness of their tiny shelter, his stories wove around her like a second cloak, staving off the cold terror that had ruled her heart for so long. When her wings finally cracked and fell away in splinters, she screamed. The loss of those luminous filaments meant the end of her status, her identity, her entire connection to her ancestors' pride. Jonah didn't flinch. He cradled her, letting her sob into his chest, never once recoiling from her anguish or her once untouchable aura. When her strength failed entirely, he carried her, step by agonizing step across the plains to his half-buried crash pod, whispering every few meters, "You're not alone. We keep moving. Together." As the weeks dragged on, Jonah rebuilt a makeshift shelter, rigging solar panels to power a weak heater, growing pale fungus for nourishment. Sail's luminous eyes dimmed, but she began to speak more, to ask him questions about Earth, about oceans and rain, about families that held each other no matter what. Slowly, she learned to eat with her hands, to fix small parts of the shelter, to patch Jonah's torn clothes. She learned to laugh, small at first, a breathy sound like a child's first word, then louder, echoing under the shattered crystal arches. When rescue finally came, a Commonwealth survey team that had picked up Jonah's emergency beacon, they found 2 beings sitting side by side in the gray dawn, sharing fungus soup from a cracked metal pot. Sail no longer looked like the ethereal Arik the daughter. Her wings were gone, her glow barely visible. But her face was softer, her eyes bright with something stronger than psionic light, trust. Love. Jonah refused immediate evacuation, insisting Sail be treated first. He stood guard while they carried her onto the ship, one hand resting on her trembling fingers the entire way. In the months that followed, news of the fallen star daughter and her human spread across the Commonwealth. The Arik, the once scornful of human fragility, watched in silence as Sail renounced her old lineage and declared herself Jonah's family, not through blood, but through choice. Together they worked in the recovery fleets, tending to other lost souls, building new homes in the dust of old empires. Sail never regained her wings. But she gained something the Auric that had never understood, an unbreakable bond, a new kind of music woven from kindness and sacrifice instead of cosmic pride. And everywhere she went, she carried Jonah's stories, his warmth, his endless heart. She had waited for a savior of light and song, never expecting a human with empty hands and an endless heart to be the one who truly saved her.